Hey guys, Adventure Max here, hope you're all good. So I've just finished my holiday, all 7 days of it out here in Bali. The time flew, 7 days to fly 3/4 of the way around the world. I'm 4 hours from Australia. You don't get to go much further on much a shorter timeline as this. An excellent holiday. My tips for coming here are as follows. Top tips is 1, sunscreen. It's hot down here, so close to the equator that you will get burnt no matter how brown you are. I got burnt, and I often am quite careful. It's easy to be out in the middle of the day or caught out on the beach and you just get burnt, so sunscreen. 2 is haggle. A lot of the prices you get quoted on the beach, just divide by 2. I bought 2 lovely kites today and they wanted 200,000 rupiah each, which I thought was a bit expensive, but haggle away, and I got two for 250,000, which is more reasonable. I know in the shops you can find them for about 100, but obviously trying to find a shop that sells the kites that I want, virtually impossible. 3 is watch out for being ripped off, in the sense of there's a lot of corruption here, and so if you're riding a bike or something like that, expect to get pulled and expect to pay a bribe. It's not nice, but unfortunately this country is a very corrupt one, and everyone seems to get by either a kickback, a commission, and there's no way around it. 4 is bring lots of money. Now, you would expect Indonesia to be a cheap country, and it is. There's a lot of cheap things here. A lot of the food is very cheap, a lot of the drink is quite cheap. However, for Westerners, it just soon starts adding up. You can easily spend as much as you're spending back at home. Hotels are generally about the same prices as most cities back in the Western world, so you're looking at, for a decent hotel, $100 to $200 a night, and when you start going to nicer restaurants, expect to pay £10–15 a main. Glasses of wine here are prohibitively expensive, and so are bottles, so any alcohol is very expensive over here just because of the tax on it, so expect to be shocked that what you think is coming for a cheap holiday generally isn't a cheap holiday. Taxis is quite an important one. In Bali there's only really one good taxi firm, and that's Bluebird Group taxis. They're the only ones that have meters and have legitimate drivers, and the drivers are actually very nice, they talk English, and the taxi rides are very, very cheap, which is great. However, this is why you got to watch out for, and it's the taxi, it is the only meter taxi, and they know they're the only meter taxis, but what happens is there's so many fake taxis that drive blue cars with taxi on top, and logos that are very similar but slightly different. And as soon as, once you get in the car and you start driving, then you realise the meter's not on, you don't realise, or they haggle for a price, or they won't switch it on. Bluebird will always switch on a meter, and they will always, that's the way they operate. Every other taxi you won't. We'll tell you they're Bluebird, but they're not Bluebird. When you first land in Bali, you start having to pay out the pocket immediately, and you have to get used to their backwards system. So you first land and you have to go for immigration. The immigration here is probably one of the worst that you can come across. The queues are standard is about an hour and 20 minutes, so allow yourself enough time to get thoroughly frustrated and stuck in immigration, followed by a landing tax. So when you land, you'll have to pay a visa fee, which is $35, which in a lot of countries you sort of come to expect either a landing fee or a leaving fee. Here they apply both, so you land and you have to pay $35, and when you leave you have to pay a further $21. So don't come to the airport with no money on both ends. You normally go home and you've pretty much spent every penny, but expect suddenly you have to draw out cash out of the cash points, of which obviously there's many here, but it's just an unexpected, not so nice surprise that after you pay to get in, you then have to pay to get out. When you get the bill in the restaurants, you're always a little bit shocked because you forget that the prices have to add on tax at 10%, and then the service charge, which is normally about between 8 and 9%, which isn't too bad. But so what you think you'll be getting a meal for 50,000 will suddenly turn into a meal for 70,000, just simply because you forgot to add on the tax. So watch out for that. Another bit of a down point is the alcohol. And now the alcohol here is massively expensive. You'll go out and you'll easily spend what you're spending in London on a night out if you start drinking spirits and cocktails. To a degree, like a good cocktail is probably about £10, £8, which is cheaper than London, but often the measures are a bit smaller out here because they don't like to use as much. And when you're going to a lot of the cheaper bars, there's no guarantee what you're getting is actually vodka. A lot of stories about giving you horrendous stuff that'll make you go blind, but that's what you get if you're trying to buy drinks for £2 a shot in a country where it costs them more than that to import it. So you've been warned about the alcohol out here. So another top tip when going through Indonesia airport is if you have hand luggage which you bought and it's a bit loose or has wood in it or metal pointy bits and you're taking it as hand luggage, I can guarantee you 100% they will ask it to be wrapped. When I say wrapped, you get the cling film wrapping that they do on suitcases. And now this in the airport, it's 80,000 rupiah. I think it's a giant con which has probably been bankrolled by the luggage people, well, people on the desk, and I think to go back and send you back there to try and buy it. So you end up with something like this. This is 2 kites that I had to get gift wrapped. It cost me 80,000 rupiah, which is almost about the same as the actual 2 kites. And it's one of those ones you try and argue, and they go, "Oh no, it's because it's got bamboo in it." My pens have got bamboo in them. You don't have to gift wrap them. Top tip is probably if you're going to take stuff through as hand luggage, which they could pick out because you've got to carry and it can't go in your bag, you probably just buy a roll of cling film and just cling film wrap it. It's going to cost you maybe 50p to buy a roll of cling film, and all this stuff is actually cling film. Same with your bag actually. If you're going to wrap your bag, you're probably better off just buying cling film and wrapping it. A cheap but top tip. Today's Max's words of wisdom are: when booking a flight, it's easy to go, "Oh my god, that flight's 12 hours." And while it does seem quite a lot on paper, realistically, you spend 12 hours at your desk in one day. I've come here for 1 week, 12 hours. It's 18-hour flight actually, and you get over the jet lag in 2 days, and the rest of the holiday is fine. You do lose time, and it's a bit sad, but it's not too far to go for a short time. Take the chances, take the risk, and go. If the weather's crap in Europe, go further afield is my advice. The only thing you're missing out on is sunshine itself, so get out there and do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. As always, be safe, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want to.